First, I would like to introduce myself. I am Arpita Gupta. I have almost 6+ years of experience in data science, NLP, and in the similar research field. Recently, I started my own startup that also provides the education and training to the working professional as well as the students in the same field. So, our primary motive towards this startup is like to basically provide the best thing which is coming up. Like suppose there are lots of inventions and lots of new techniques are coming up every day, so I would like to train people with the new techniques as soon as possible, I would say. So this is all about, and I think LLM is also one part of it. So recently LLM was released. I know it's been already few months that it has been released, like ChatGPT has been released. LLM was already there. So, but I think this is the right time when we can discuss about LLM, when we can discuss its utilization, because everyone is talking about this, and we people still don't know. Like I'll discuss one scenario that happened with me recently. I was discussing some medical related project with one of the person. She was a technology head in some company in US, and we were discussing about what we can do in this medical field with the help of ChatGPT. Actually, everyone has heard about ChatGPT. If I say no, that I'm going to conduct a webinar on ChatGPT, everyone will know what we are talking about. But if I say that we are going to talk about LLM, that hardly very few people, I would say, who are actually aware of LLM. So the same thing I was discussing, and I was suggesting few ideas related to LLM, that we can build this, that, and because she was from non-technical background, and it was little difficult for understand for her that what is LLM. I did not use the full form, that is large language models. And even in fact, if you do the Google, no, it's not probable that it will show you LLM search for large language model. It will show you some degrees, some, I think, LLB degrees or something like this. So this also happens. So the same thing happened, and then I had to convey that, okay, this, I'm talking about the large language model, I'm talking about the ChatGPT actually, that how we can utilize this and why should we do it. Because this is also very important. It's not like any new technology came up and we start utilizing it. No, that should not be there actually. We should understand that why we are using it. Until and unless we don't know the importance, we can't utilize it to its optimal value. That's my thing, that I think, and I think everyone should know that why we should use something, where to use, and in fact the right place to utilize some technique or solution is only possible when we actually know the its concept, its basics, I know, right? So same thing I feel with the AI, data science, ML, NLP, any technology. It's not something, it's not a concept actually. It's all about a solution. It's a solution to solve our existing problem that were already there in the market, and we were not able to solve those things. Or I would say something we were able to solve before, but still not to the best way possible, or I would say not in that automated way that people are doing right now. ChatGPT has changed everything, right? So we have to understand that part as well. ChatGPT is just a part of LLM. We'll discuss each and everything. So I am just hoping from everyone that if you guys have any doubts, please write down in the chat window so that I can take them up. Also, if anything you would like to raise in between also, please let me know, because I would like to make it interactive as much as possible. And there are lots of knowledge that might be there that you already have, and I might not have this. So I would like suggest you to please share with me. And one person has asked how to connect ChatGPT with any app. I saw one video. Yes, we can connect it directly through the ChatGPT API first, or maybe we can use Twilio API. If you have heard about it, I can share the documentation. That's like a steps-wise process is there. There's nothing technical. You can directly connect it with any of your app. Twilio is basically for WhatsApp integration, not for any other app. But ChatGPT has released their API, and OpenAI has actually kept the price. Initially, it was free, but I think from this month only they have kept the price. And also one more thing I would like to tell before we start, as one person has asked this question, there are two things which is completely different. If you are thinking to use ChatGPT, okay, so that fee is around $20 per month. That is completely different. That you can use ChatGPT 4, GPT-4 basically in the ChatGPT. So you can ask anything, you can use their prompt. And another thing is like to use the API of it that you can use for the integration with the app. That is different, and that pricing is based on the tokens. Tokens means words of the document that you can take. I think I'm not sure about the price, but it's based on the 1000 token or 750. 1000 tokens means around 750 words. So they are charging according to that. So why they are charging? Because it as much as data you would put now for API integrations and everything, that much processing is required. So that's the reason the more more lengthy data you would put, no, that it will create more processing, and that's why they charge more. So can we create a GPT specific to our business? Definitely we can create. That's why actually that's the reason I have not kept this webinar for ChatGPT. I've kept this webinar for LLM to understand that it's not limited to ChatGPT. Okay, we can actually utilize for our business. We can fine tune it. We can tweak it, modify it, or I would say we can integrate it in some other like little bit coding techniques that are also possible nowadays. So we can do it. So let's understand from the beginning. First, we'll go through the overview. I'm not going for the coding sessions or anything like that. Just a basic overview. I'm going, and if you want to go to more specific knowledge, you can ask me later. Also, you can send me a mail as well. We can connect and discuss, because I'm always open to discuss such things. Okay, so I'm sharing my screen. Just give me a second, please. I am hoping you guys can see my screen. Can you see my screen?
Yes, Arpita.
Cool, cool. Thank you. So, understand first, like I would like to know tell you the agenda that what we are going to discuss in this webinar. This is like we are going to discuss what is actually a language model. I'm not talking about here the large language model. Before understanding the large language model, you have to understand what is a language model exactly. Okay, so we are going to discuss that. We are going to discuss the second question that just now people asked, that if ChatGPT is equal to LLM, if so, then what is the further implications that we can use, or if not, then what we can do about it. Second thing that we can discuss is third thing, sorry, it's all about generative AI, because this complete thing that we are discussing right now is about generative AI. And we are going to discuss the LLM's important, or I would say the need of the LLM, okay, in the current era. Applications, we are going to discuss LangChain is also like why we are going to discuss LangChain. I just give you an overview. LangChain is actually a framework that we use to implement any LLM or large language model in our application. Like if we want to use this GPT power, right, in our application for our business use case, then we are going to use LangChain. Like how will you code it? So for that, LangChain is there. It's an open source framework. We are going to discuss the limitations as well, and we are going to discuss how we can utilize it. If you are from a tech or non-tech background, for both people, it has a different usage, and we can discuss how we can leverage it. Okay, I got one question. Let me take that. Usually for AI ML application, what will be the best technology to develop the UI? Basically came from the .NET. So .NET is a front-end framework. It's not like what best technology can be there. AI ML is completely for the back-end applications. So it's completely on you how you want to build your front end. It's not related to it, because whenever we are going to build any back-end application, we always create APIs. Till our part as a data scientist or NLP engineer or anything like this, our task, or I would say our Work ends when we create APIs. Then the person who is from the front-end developer, front-end development, that person takes the charge and that person solve this. So there are lots of technologies, lots of applications are there. It depends how you want to make what application or what website you are making, what do you want the, like, what feature you want at the priority. It depends on that, not on AI ML application as such, as per my knowledge. Okay, so let's understand the language model. Yeah. So basically, language model definition, I would say it's a probability distribution over the sequence of tokens. Quite a technical term, I can understand. So let me like simplify it. So you know, everything we deal here with the language model, it means either text or in the form of voice, whatever it is. Let's say text for now. So whenever we are taking the text in as an input, it's not possible for any ML or deep learning model to train the network and do everything, right? So what we actually do, we divide them into different chunks. It can be a word token or like that. Division is called token. Okay, and based on that we try to predict. Okay, but before prediction, that token that we have taken, no, we have to convert it into numbers, then we have to feed it to training, and then we predict that, okay, this is going to be our next word. Suppose if I'm saying the whole sentence, maybe last word is not complete, I am going to predict it. So for that prediction, I'll get lots of probabilities. Okay, this word can be this, right? So that prediction, or I would say that probability distribution, is called language model. Language model is completely a probable thing. So the better we can predict, okay, the more will be the probability of a particular word that we will assign, so that, okay, this will be the next word. So you see, like when you use ChatGPT, how it answers you, it keeps typing, right? So it keeps generating that sequence based on the probability distribution over the sequence of token, means over that words that is given to it. So this is all about language model. This is how language models were designed. Now, if you think like, okay, understood that it's all about probability, sequence, word, tokens, but then what is the difference between large language model? The only difference between large language model and language model is any language model, okay, which is trained on huge data, then it is called large language model. So what if, like, if I am going to train it on large material, like large materials or large data, what is the benefit I'm going to have? It can actually be utilized for the very general task. It's like, have you heard about those people who prepare for the UPSC exam? They listen this word that there are two kinds of people in this world. One is the kind of person who knows everything but does not know anything in that depth, and the another person who knows only one thing, but that too in the depth, like a PhD guy. He knows about one topic, right? Topic gets changed and we go more and more study. So large language model comes under the first category when it knows everything, because it has been trained on lots of data. But if I talk about a very specific thing, it might not be able to answer that thing. So you can think in that way. Suppose let me give you one example, very good example of this LLM. That's the reason actually that I'm going to tell you, we can't utilize it for our own business directly. Because suppose you are using the ChatGPT. Okay, so you are trying to predict the meaning of the word, particular word, like let's say your name also, right? So it will be able to tell you only generic terms. It will not be able to tell you very specific thing, or I would say anything that is particularly related to you only, not for the general trend. Okay, that is the specialty of the large language model. It can tell you about everything, about like, or let me take one example. If you are doing the coding, right, and you ask some basic doubts or some error, so it can tell you, definitely can tell you, and it can give you, ChatGPT can give you multiple answers for that. But if you want to understand a particular thing which you have used specifically for your own thing, it might not be able to answer if it has not seen that before. So that's the problem. Advantage also, because 90% of the people want generic information. Like if you want to create the content, you want general information, right? So that can be useful. But if you want very specific knowledge, then it might not be able to tell you. Okay, so you can think of it as a really chatty AI buddy, which can have conversations with you, write articles, translate languages, and even come up with some creative ideas also. It's like some language expert that at your fingertips that you can say about the large language models. Now, third thing that comes is like, okay, if ChatGPT is equal to LLM, it means because ChatGPT is also trained on the very massive data, or I would say very large data set it has been trained. So can I say that? I would say that reverse, you can say that ChatGPT is a type of LLM, but LLM is not limited to ChatGPT. Actually, LLM was there even when ChatGPT was not released. LLM is large language model. So if you talk about the BERT, if you talk about any other embeddings that has been saved or trained, right, that all were about the LLM, or I would say large language model. So ChatGPT was trained or prepared by OpenAI. Okay, so I would say there is a company who trained their data. It was huge data, and they have trained their network, and then they built the ChatGPT. Okay, but suppose there is another company, let's say Hugging Face is there, or maybe some other company is there. They are training some amount of data for their own code or something like this, and then they release their pre-trained embedding, then that will also be type of LLM. Okay, but it will not be a ChatGPT because they have used some specific thing. So you can say ChatGPT is built on LLM. This is right. ChatGPT is basically a type of LLM, or I would say subset of LLM. Okay, so ChatGPT is a specific implementation of a large language model. Okay, and this ChatGPT is designed actually to have a conversational abilities that can be used for the chat bots, question answering, generating. Same task can be done by other companies also. Like they might have some different data. Maybe suppose it has taken 172 billion parameters. Maybe the other company also can take this 172 billion parameters, but it is different. Their vocabulary is different. So maybe in when they will release their pre-trained embeddings, it will be different, and they can utilize it or they can release it as a pre-trained embeddings. In fact, you can talk about the BARD here that Google has released after ChatGPT, right? So how they are trying to compete? Definitely, there is an algorithm difference. It's not just about the data difference, but they have also taken. They also have a huge data in their database, right? So they can compete with it. But if I talk about us, what is more utilization? We don't have enough resources. We don't have database. So what we can do about it? We can utilize it. We can utilize for our application. As simple as that. Okay, so ChatGPT is a type of large language model that you can chat and ask questions to whatever you want to do. You can ask questions and get the answers from ChatGPT. In fact, I think on the LinkedIn everywhere this is present that all about prompts, how to ask from the ChatGPT, right? That you can see and you can take some examples and then ask and solve your problem, right? Now, this is also very important. I have kept it knowingly what is generative AI because after this chat GPT, LLM, as LLM got famous word, this was the AI burst. Similarly, generative AI has also become similar to that. Because what is generative AI? When you are trying to actually generate some new content, either it in the form of text, images, videos. I think you might have seen recently Photoshop. Last week only, Photoshop has not Photoshop, sorry, Adobe's Photoshop has released their own way of creating the pictures where you can directly edit it by drag and drop, right? So you can see that as well. So basically, generative AI is all about, this is all part of generative AI. I would say generative AI is a complete set. Under that, there is a LLM. Under that LLM, there is a chat GPT. Okay, so generative AI is a very broad term where we are talking about any generation, new thing generation. Either it can be a text, it can be an image, it can be a video, it can be a voice, anything. Okay, so this is all about generative AI. So my next question that I thought about it is like, Then if that is the case, what is the difference between generative AI and traditional AI? In traditional AI also we were doing the prediction, right? Since long we were doing prediction, since long we were doing classification. We were not trying to predict that it will be a dog or cat in the classification in the deep learning method. That is also prediction. No, that is also generation. But actually the difference between is where there we already knew the classes, where we already knew that okay, this is dog, this is cat. We are trying to predict something which was definitive. Okay, we are not creating a new animal at all that was not present at all in the world, right? So that is the difference between generative and traditional AI. The basic difference is this. It's like I would say objective, what we are doing actually. Learning approach also, how we are learning. It's a class, I would say uh, what we call it, supervised or unsupervised. Okay, and how we are generating the output. Like suppose the document, the language translation we do, or we when we generate a new text, like you have used the chat GPT, in that also there are new text has been generated, right? So that also can be done with the generative AI. You can do that with the traditional AI. Traditional AI is like something you already knew or predict from the existing database, right? So, like you can say, you might say, like we do the house pricing, right? House pricing data set we all have used in our ML. It is a hello program, hello world program in data science. In that also we do predict. The price was not there. We are actually predicting, we are generating new data. But that data was limited among that only. We had to predict the price, right? So that is the reason uh, generative AI and traditional AI is different. Is NLP the main domain for the generative AI? I would not say the main domain, but the research currently which are going on now, that is more in NLP. NLP is all about text and voice data, but image data is also there. So generative AI also works in image data or video data as well. You might have seen GAN came, I think few years back, GAN came, right? So that was also a part of generative AI, where they were creating the images, fake images, deep fake, you might have heard. So both image and text, where data is so high that we can't directly manipulate it. I think there is one thing that yeah, you can say that it is a deep learning. I take the one example here. There are two kinds of data actually. One is structured data, another is unstructured data. Structured data is the one that we deal in the Excel sheets, Excel sheet or SQL or something like this, right? And the another data is unstructured data, which is we don't know the pattern, we don't know the format. That comes under text data or image data. So this generative AI, I would say that we mostly deal with the unstructured data, because we need huge data set to train our model in that case. Okay. But in case of Excel sheet data, like ML was also okay. Though we use deep learning if the data is too large. There is no limitation that we can't use deep learning in case of structured data. We do. But if the data is less structured, then we used to apply ML. Okay, in that case. So so this is, you have to remember the difference between generative AI and traditional AI. Okay. Now, can you, I think we have discussed this already, the need of LLM. Do you guess what is the need for the LLM exactly that we just now discussed? We already had my question is, we already had the chat GPT, right? We could ask each and everything from the chat GPT as type of LLM. Then why do we need to explore it more? Why do we need some other frameworks actually to implement this? We can utilize this LLM because we have a need of LLM, or I would say implementation of it, because there is one drawback that we have just seen, that large language model is very generalized, not specific to our business. So if we want to tweak it, or let me give one best example for it. Suppose if you want to build something for your own search, okay, there you already have your own PDF or any book that you want to search from, which was your model has not, your ChatGPT has not been trained for that. Okay, so for that you will need your own ChatGPT, and for that you will actually need this LLM models or other LLM models, I would say. Okay, so that's the reason these are very important. And if not just for that, it's like to understand natural language from text generation, information retrieval, knowledge expansion, language learning, accessibility, anything. If you want to utilize for your own use case, then this LLM will come into the picture. Okay. Backend technology for what? I think I got a question. Backend technology for what? Please clear your question and I'll answer. So some popular LLM, as I said, it's not just not just GPT. It's like OpenAI GPT that we are using in the form of ChatGPT. Google Bard, that was already there, but because OpenAI, this ChatGPT has used a better algorithm, more parameters. Okay, Transformer Bard is also based on the transformer itself. Robota is also a type of embeddings. Actually, if I talk about this, no, in the core, what is different? First, you can think of the parameters that we have taken. Okay, that is different. As much as parameters you are going to take, more vocabulary. It's like you are making a person more knowledgeable. Definitely, that person will be able to answer more questions. Okay, first thing. Second thing, how actually we are converting our this words into tokens, into sequence, how we are actually sending it to our training, what we are going to give them for the training, right? Deep learning, because deep learning algorithm is same. The only difference we are creating is how we are sending it to the deep learning, how or what additional functionalities we are going to add in between. Okay, so that's how it is making the difference between all the popular LLMs or among all other models. And the backend technology for this generative AI models, these are the generative AI models. So backend technology is not different actually. It's the same that we have used so far. Because what is the backend technology? How we are actually training our model? So you can see here the components of LLM. If you see, there are we have to see how we have made this architecture of the transformer. What is transformer? Transformer is a, I would say, the core of the large language models. In very short, or I would say in layman terms, we can understand in that way that how we are sending our input, we are encoding it into numbers, and what things we are adding, because there are lots of problems that we can face in language models, like maybe there are certain sarcasm that might be your language model is not able to understand. Maybe there are lots of things that you would like to remember, but that was from very past. Okay, so how will you do it? For a human being it is easy, but for like to do it from by the help of computer or program, it is difficult. Like I would say, you have to think in that way, that how creative or how good it is that you can mimic the human brain just by doing the mathematical things. But just by mathematics you can do some, you are doing some manipulations in such a way that it is actually acting like a human. Not exactly, but very close, right, in some aspects. So that components of LLM includes transformer architecture. It includes the pre-training. What is pre-training? Pre-training is to train the network, or I would say to train the deep learning models or ML models prior on the large database. Because for us, like as we are working somewhere and it's very small people, right? We can't train on the huge data. We don't have that database. Neither we have database nor we have resources. So these companies like Hugging Face, Google, this OpenAI, these companies are actually using their huge database, their huge resources, and training the model from scratch for months, and then they give it to us as a pre-trained models. Okay, and for our use case, what we do, we actually fine tune them. That is called the fine tuning, because we want to tweak it for our model. Let's fine tune them. And the tokenization actually comes at the first when we divide our text into different tokens, words. Okay, What's is not just token. Token is the smallest unit that we can divide the text into. It can be a letter also, ABCD also. Okay. Attention mechanism is the core of this whole transfer architecture, that we have to understand, or I would say text has to understand what has to be focused and what should not. Okay. Language modeling objective, that is the most important. We are doing the translation, we are doing the generation, what we are going to do the information extraction. Actually, what are the things that we are working on? All these things, combinedly make the large language model. How we are creating it, how we are actually developing it. Okay. Any questions so far? Okay. Okay, so I'm going ahead. So how to choose the best LLM for your application? Okay, this is the, I think, most important question might be, how actually you are going to choose the best LLM, because there are lots of open source models, lots of open source things, right? I would say the first thing that comes up is like, how much money do you have? Do you want to use the free resources? Do you want to use the paid resources? How critical your application is? Like, it's like, I am ready to pay, but my answer or my things should be more accurate. That is more important for me. So you have to understand, okay, that what is your application requirement, what you actually want to build, what you can bear, the cost or the accuracy, or maybe some other resources, right? So here there are lots of things that comes into the picture, like computational resources, model capabilities, okay, this performance, maybe the type of text. Sometimes you have to experiment on those things. Sometimes ethical consideration also comes in between, right? And it's like there are multiple products and you're buying it from different companies, so you have to choose that from which company you can choose which product. It's like trade-off between all those things. Not, if not one thing is completely perfect. Everything has pros and cons, and you have to see that based on your application, what you actually want to build. Okay. And then, no, it is not like it is not like a finite answer that you can get every time. You have to think, you have to discuss, and also you have to see your application. And even after doing lots of literature survey, lots of examples, you can see, after that also you have to experiment and validate that it is actually utilizable for your particular application or not. Suppose you are building something for your medical application, right, where you people can search that what disease they have, or what happened to them, what treatment they should follow, because right now doing the googling about this thing is quite risky. Lots of things can come up, right? So suppose you are building a very safe application which is licensed, and you want to utilize that. So there are lots of things that you have to understand, that how much your data, suppose the data is too huge. Generally medical books are very long, right? So in that case data is very huge, and you need more data. So maybe for you, that is maybe Hugging Face LLM would be better choice for you. Okay, maybe you want to build some front end application with that, and maybe support is not available from that particular LLM, right? So you have to go with some other things, like where APIs are available and you can easily choose that one. So there are lots of things that you have to actually focus on. And also that is very important, that how much fine tuning you want. Maybe there are some models which require less fine tuning. Maybe some model require more fine tuning for a particular application. So accordingly, you have to do. There is no finite answer, but there are some checklists that you can always see. That okay, I have to check the model capabilities, computational resources, support, availability, the money, or like to the cost, basically. Based on that, I can see that this is my specification. Now let's see what LLM can be the best for me. Okay. So the difference between the LLM and other language models. What do you think that large language model we just now discussed, right? The normal traditional ML models, or even not just ML model, traditional deep learning model that were designed for languages, that were designed for text to data only. What is the difference between this and that? Large language model differences, major difference is all about training data. How much training data we have used. Large language, a language model can be called as a large language model when it has been used like, it has been trained on the very large data. It depends on the model size as well, because if our data is very, very huge, then we will have to use like a big model for that to process that data. Otherwise, no, it will take too much time also. And second thing, if you're going to use very large data and with a small model, it will not be able to learn properly. Then your model is underfit, or I would say very, very inaccurate answer it will give you. Okay, and also you have to use that that how pre-trained model is being done. And the most important thing that you have to understand with this is contextual understanding. Sometimes in some use cases, contextual understanding is not that important, but for some use cases, it's very, very important. Like if you want to understand, suppose like the very basic use case I take, sentiment analysis. I think everyone has done it. If you have worked on the NLP, sentiment analysis is the, again, hello world of language models, right? So there we can predict positive, negative, not much like problem. But suppose if you want to detect the sarcasm, if you want to detect the some hate comments, or maybe something like, for human it is very easy to change the context. We can still understand. If I'm talking to you, I'm talking about language models right now. For me, for you, it is easy to understand. Suppose if I talk about something else, suppose if I talk about ML, or suppose if I talk about like, okay, let's talk about the restaurants, which restaurants are good here in India, right? So I can easily change the context and you will also understand. But for models, for language model, it's just little different, difficult to understand. So it matters that what my model needs. It is generalized one that I want, or it needs a deep contextual meaning of it. If we want contextual understanding, we have to go with the large language models, because there we have used the attention mechanism at the back end, transformer embeddings we have used. So that is more powerful to give you the accurate reply. I will not say 100% accurate too, but quite good. Okay. Let's understand the LLM architecture. I'm not going to too much detail into the architecture, because it itself like contains a very huge, it will contain very huge time. So understand the large language model. It's like it is based on the GPT architecture. Okay, there are lots of things that we have to understand to LLM architecture. First of all, if you have heard about the transformer architecture, it is basically based on the encoder and decoder architecture, encoder decoder, right? But the GPT architecture is basically follows the decoder architecture. Okay, so when I talk about the difference between the BERT and the ChatGPT, and BERT follows the encoder architecture. Okay, the difference lies in the training data, training objective, fine tuning the strategies. Okay, there are lots of things that actually creates the LLM architecture. We will not go into much detail into it. Then there is one question that I would have for all of you. Suppose if you want to analyze the financials of a particular company, okay, that what happened in my company inside, okay, or maybe about certain policy of the company. How will you do it? Can you do it with the ChatGPT? If yes, then how? If no, then why? Would you like to answer this? Simple question. We have discussed so far, like lots of things so far. So what do you think? No. If no, then why? Just now we have discussed, I think. Financial, okay, there is one constant that our financial data will be exposed. Okay, let's leave about the financial data. If that is, definitely there is a security concern in that case. But what about the policy? So can we do it for the policy? actually we can't do it for the policy or for the financials, for anything. Reason behind is exactly the ChatGPT is a very generic. It won't be able, it can tell you the overall what happened to all the companies, what is current trend, what is happening, that market is going down or high. But if you talk about the each and every specific about your company, now it won't be able to answer. So that is the whole problem. Just now we had discussed. Okay. So Chat LLM are very powerful, but there is a limitation to it that we can't actually do it. Whatever yes, we can definitely do it, as you said. If that info is already there on the internet and it has been trained on that data, definitely it can do it. But generally, there are lots of companies in the world, right? For internal data, generally, not every company put, not just every. It's like no one puts their data, either it's a financial or something. Okay, so now the solution, what can be the solution? I understood the limitation. Problems I understood, but tell me the solution, right? So now what should I do? LLM should not be wasted. Like we have trained our data with so much resources, everything, right? Then we should find some solution that I want it for my own company. Basically, I want to utilize this power of LLM for my own business use case. So what we can do is we need something that can actually connect me with the large language models. Okay, and somehow we can train it, or I would say not training, I will not use this term, I will use, we can fine tune it with the help of LangChain. LangChain is actually an open source framework through which we can train, or I would say first we can connect it with the APIs, either it's OpenAI, Hugging Face, or any other LLM APIs. Once we are able to connect it, then we can actually utilize our data. We can train everything LLM on our own training data. Okay. So now I think we understood what is LangChain. LangChain is open source framework that actually allow you to integrate LLM model with your own database. Okay, but let's understand a few small things. Everything you would like to implement with the LangChain is available on its documentation. It's a completely open source. You can go, there are lots of tutorials, lots of videos are there, documentation is there. If you want, you can directly utilize that code. Definitely, I'm pretty sure that there will be lots of errors, but you can debug them and it can work. Okay. So, but you have to understand basic terminologies about LangChains, because LangChain is also quite famous on LinkedIn. I've seen recently. So, okay, one question: if we are providing a data source for the LangChain, will it be exposed to the main LLM? Actually, this has been a debate over LinkedIn. I've seen many people discussing that thing. Some people are saying they are using, but some actually saying that no, they will not take our data. They were just providing their API. But I think that if you are using their API, data is anyway exposed. In fact, they ask you to sign some privacy policies and data usage policies also. It's like if you are going to use any Android or any app, right? You have to accept the condition. Without that, you can't utilize that. Similar condition with the LangChain also, or OpenAI APIs, or any other APIs. So even if they say no, that is, I'm saying that it is not possible that they are not going to use it. So it's on us. Okay, so prompt templates we have to understand. Have you seen any mathematical question that we say, okay, this person has these many mangoes, this person has this person has this, please calculate this. So this kind of mathematical question, no, it consists of multiple sequential sentences, and every sentence has to be read or done after first sentence has to be completed. I would say maybe there is a complicated mathematical problem where I'm going to do the sequential operations. Okay, so in that, what will happen? I'll add two things, then maybe subtract third, then fourth, multiplication, something like this is happening. So if you are going to do it with the ChatGPT, how actually, or for your own documentation, you will actually face a problem that you have to give everything one by one. So this prompt template, prompt template actually helps you to two things. First of all, this is the advantage of the LangChain that I'm talking about, that it helps you to give to provide multiple prompts altogether. Second thing, prompt template, actually it was released by the LangChain, and what they do, suppose you want to ask what is how to learn deep learning. Okay, this is your question. So you have to write how to learn and that deep learning. But what if you have to just type the deep learning and it will take it? For that, you have to use prompt template. Prompt template is like the remaining question is already there. Okay, and you have to just write what is being asked. Second thing, LLMs, you can decide that which LLM you would like to integrate with for the LangChain. It's not like you have to always use OpenAI. In fact, OpenAI is the paid one right now. So, and because if you are starting, I'll not suggest you to do that, though there are lots of code available for the OpenAI. But I think LLMA is there, Hugging Face is there. If you would like, their APIs are available completely free. You would like to use, you can use them. Rather than don't start with the OpenAI, but OpenAI is actually easily available right now. Code is easily available everywhere, so people are preferring, but it's paid. Okay, so and also because it charges token wise, so you don't know how much tokens you are going to use. Either first count the tokens in your document around, and then almost estimate. You can't get the exact value, but estimate that okay, this much cost it will be. So accordingly you can decide. Apart from that, agents actually these are the actually key phrases that you will use while working with the LangChains once you start. So you should be aware that what is agent. Agents are the ones who decide what actions has to be taken. You are going to do the web search calculator, what actually you are going to do. So you have to connect it with the agent. So suppose if you are doing you are going to search something and you want to connect the Google search. So here in that case, Google search will be your agent who is doing the task for you. Okay, so first you like how you do that thing in the ChatGPT. First you write something and then ChatGPT will give the answer for you, right, from its own whole database, or it generates, right? In this case, what we are trying to do is we will give the some text. It will convert into some proper prompt using prompt templates. I'll apply LLM. I'll check the similarity of what I have asked, what they already have, and then based on the similarity index, it will try to figure out. And then we are going to connect it with the agents. There are lots of open source agents are also available. Their APIs are also available, like Google search APIs are also available. So we can connect and do the Google search with the help of that. And then we can reply of, or I would say I can generate the answer. And the more memory is used because maybe I'm talking about something for half hour, and then after some hour I'll talk about something. So I can retrieve the old information, as you might have seen in ChatGPT, all the chat conversations are saved, right? So the memory does the same thing. So this LangChain is a kind of very good source right now to implement any LLM in your own model, and lots of videos document. I would say always refer official documentation, because that is authentic and there are chances that you will not get much error, though it's open from the open source community. But it is a very powerful tool right now if you want to integrate or build any application or utilize this for your own application. Okay. So you can see here, as just now I discussed, how it actually works. So you can see question you have asked, you can ask from the OpenAI or Hugging Face API. It will check for the similarity check, the similarity search it will do. Okay, and then it will search for the relevant information after doing this. Then it will connect with the OpenAI Hugging Face, and then it will give you the answer. Just now we have discussed a similar thing. We can see the challenges and limitations. One thing, biases in the training, it can happen. I think I'm not sure if you guys have seen today only. I have seen this on the LinkedIn that one person has posted this about this. They have used this LLM for the Adobe Photoshop, and they wanted like this feature of the Adobe Photoshop, that you can just do the drag, you can just select some area of the particular image, type that what do you want exactly on that particular area, and it will overlap. Okay, so this is how we can change the image as per, we don't need very high skills of the Photoshop. This is what exactly it is. So I have seen one meme actually today only, that one lady has posted about it, that if you there was a face of a male person, of a guy, and there was some drag that someone has done over his face, that I want a beard, sexy beard in that, and then there was some lipstick, and the like male female face was combined in that. So that was quite funny. Why it happened? Because that sexy beard image, so it was combined from the two male and female features, and that created a bias in the training. Okay, that was the problem that happened. Okay, limited contextual understanding, this is we have discussed, this is the reason it is not able to answer us in the depth. Okay, sensitivity to the input phrasing, how you, I think this everyone has faced, that if we change our sentences multiple times, we change, keep asking the different type of questions, then we get different answers. How we are phrasing our input, suppose if you want to generate a social media post, and if you are saying I want a promotion kind of post on the social media, or this, then it will give you the different answer. If you add that, please add the emotions into it, then it will give you the different response, right? So it is very sensitive to the input phrasing rather than understanding the meaning of it. And computational resources and training cost is the challenge actually here, because too much NVIDIA resources are used right now to train. I don't remember the exact figure, but it was very costly and very high resources that they have used. Ethical challenges are, now I think everyone is talking about it, because I think I'm not sure if you guys have heard recently, Andrew Ng and Elon Musk have brought up one, I think what we call kind of policies, that we should stop our advancements in AI, or we should do it for the good human being. People are actually using it for their own purpose, and it can be destructive also for the further, right? So there are ethical challenges also that we have to see, but it is always there. We have to, it depends on us how we are actually utilizing AI. So now this is most important, I think, tech and non-tech people, how we can utilize it. If you are from completely non-tech background, you can do it for the career enhancement. You can actually utilize it, how to ask, how to prepare for the interviews, or maybe what can be the best advice that you can get, right? Apart from that, you can increase your communication by talking to it. There are some language challenges also there with the people, right? You can enhance your productivity. Like I personally used to write a formal mails every time. I used to like face lots of problem while creating a proper decent formal mails. Now I just use ChatGPT for the same thing. So that increased my productivity somehow. Content creation, marketing, everyone is using this. Customer experience enhancement also we can use, because we can integrate it with different apps, and we can understand their problems and their requirements both at all together. Okay, I think there is one more thing for tech people, we can understand it in that way, because I think I'm assuming we all from the tech background, so we can actually utilize it to build the more powerful chatbots that were not there. It's not like I used to think, I tell you my thinking about it. I used to think, yeah, ChatGPT is built, right? So why people are still like working for the chat, building chat, but they can directly integrate it and do it. But as I said, for business use case, for cost, and also for data privacy, there are lots of things we still need our own solutions in similar cases. So for that, we can utilize these large language models. The privacy is again will be still a concern after that also. And also we can customize it in multiple ways. People are actually creating extensions. People are like not just chat, but there are lots of apps actually came up in the market after this chat GPT thing. Okay, and it was then when people like OpenAI has not even released their API. Right now, everyone has released their API, so we can directly integrate it and utilize it. And also, we can utilize, like, if we are a tech people, I feel like we have this command in our hand. We can build anything because now there is no restrictions on the code. We just need the ideas. We just need what we actually want to build, frame it completely, step by step, code it and do it. It will be complete. Either it's a front end or back end. For both the things we can create together, right? So I think this webinar is all about this. I just wanted to all of you to introduce about this, how actually we can utilize, what can be the best thing that we can do. If you guys have any questions in this, please feel free to ask. I will be happy to answer. I'm hoping that you guys have enjoyed this webinar, because I have tried to keep it as simple as possible. And whatever knowledge that I have gathered, I wanted to try to put it up here. If you guys have any questions, even future also, you can always connect with me on LinkedIn and ask me anything. Sorry, I missed one question. Can we create a small application of LLM and get our hands dirty in it? Yes, definitely. In fact, I'm also going to launch bootcamp where I'm going to implement one LLM application. Of course, this about this medical thing only, because I've been exploring it since long. So we are going to create that thing with, and also we are going to deploy it as an application. And we are going to see the LLM ops also. LLM ops is like, first DevOps was there, then ML ops came, and now everyone is talking about LLM ops. It's the same large language model in the operation. So everything we are going to develop. And do you have any resources to develop APIs for AI ML app? Actually, Habiba, many people have asked this thing, but I'm sorry, I don't have any resources for now. But I'm going to create soon, because lots of people have asked this, that how to create a API for an application. I'll share this. I'll update. I think on my LinkedIn post or through the mail as soon as I create. I'll definitely share one document soon. Okay, so thank you everyone for your response. Thank you for joining in. See you soon. Bye bye.